My name is Mackenzie Kermode. I'm from Seattle, Washington, in the United States of America, and I studied under the Global Environment and Climate Change Law program. In my undergraduate degrees, I studied marine biology and environmental policy, and after obtaining those degrees, I became pretty aware that solving the significant environmental challenges of our time requires cooperation at the international level. So I knew that in order to direct our approach to these issues, it was important to have an understanding of the rules and principles of international environmental law. And then if I wanted to be a part of that field, I would have to have a pretty good working understanding of multilateral environmental agreements. I really deeply care about environmental issues relating to the marine environment, and I felt that this program would service that passion of mine while at the same time allowing me to pursue what I feel like is the most urgent issue of my generation, which is climate change. So I was able to take classes like International Law of the Marine Environment and Law of the Sea, and simultaneously take classes like International Climate Change Law and Climate Litigation. So I felt like both sides of myself were balanced, and I was able to pursue what I was passionate about, but also pursue things that I felt meaningful, things that I felt would make change in my society. And I really thought a strength of the program was that all of the material we talked about in class was connected to real life. For the first time in my academic career, I truly felt like I was showing up to class to learn about the world and to learn about how to make a difference within it. The valuable component of that experience was we learned how to interact virtually, and that's a skill that serviced me really well for my dissertation. I wrote my dissertation on policies and laws impacting the Salish Sea, which is a transboundary marine ecosystem shared between Washington State in the US and the province of British Columbia in Canada. And so I was reaching out to people over email and over Skype and over Zoom based in the Pacific Northwest, my home region, but I was studying in Scotland and learning and researching in Scotland. And I think the training that we had in the last few seminars before we were all released to our dissertation semester was invaluable, because we learned how to deal with technological glitches. We learned how to circumvent any issues through email and through different messaging platforms. And we learned how to connect humanly over the internet. And I really credit my professors for understanding that every one of us experienced the pandemic differently. Every one of us was in a very different circumstance, and they really tried to meet us where we were at. And I think that really speaks to their humanity. They were really, really great. I thought that Edinburgh was a very livable city with stunning geography and a rich history and a very welcoming people. I'm a musician on the side of all of this legal stuff, so it was an absolute joy to run around the city and find different pubs that had live music and learn traditional Scottish music with the Folk and Traditional Society of the university and figure out the different moves for Ceilidh dancing. It was just such a joy. So that was great before the lockdowns happened. After the lockdowns happened, I still found that the heart of Edinburgh was pulsating, just in different ways. I biked and ran around the city pretty much every day with my partner, and just like being able to be outside and look at the various stages of architecture through time and the topography, it was still like, it still held up as a really cool city to be in despite the pandemic and despite the lockdowns. I'm about to begin an internship at the Center for International Environmental Law in DC. They have two offices, one in Geneva and one in Washington, DC. So I will be at the American side of that because I'm an American. I'm really excited to start working on that and gain experience researching policy and doing legal analysis, kind of continuing what I did for my LLM program. In the future, I would really like to work on the behind the scenes of international diplomacy.